like a fire hose that's flailing all about.
Them bones, them dry bones. That's what we got going on this Sunday at Riverside. Ezekiel is walking through a valley of dry bones. Second Sunday of Advent. Reverend Adrienne Thorne back in the pulpit. And for those of you who watched last week's video, yes, we're wearing the exact same clothes because we recorded 2 at once, so we didn't have to record on Thanksgiving. That's the secret. Welcome to behind the scenes of the Word Made Fresh. Hi, I'm Jim. Adrienne, talk about upcoming narrative lectionary texts preaching at Riverside. You can borrow ideas, join us in all the ways you can. Adrienne, you just said before we hit record, you are excited about this one. So I'm just going to stop talking and let you tell me why you're so excited.
So I'm so excited about this text. I love Ezekiel and the Valley of the Dry Bones, but I was able to attend a conference in the fall and hear the wonderful teaching and musings of a dynamite professor who's at Vanderbilt Divinity School. She's the assistant professor of religion, psychology, and culture with an emphasis in Latinx studies. Her name is Yara Gonzalez Justiniano, and she is of Puerto Rican descent. She started her lecture by saying, "What magical thing have you done today?" And we were all kind of like, is this a trick question? Like, what is she talking about?
We're at Hogwarts right now. What's going on?
Exactly. And my quote for the bulletin is Albus Dumbledore.
I didn't even know that.
I know. It's so awesome. So she said, "I get my power from burnt beans." And I was like, what is she talking? She goes, "Coffee, y'all. I'm talking about coffee." And I was like, oh, she's just having like some fun, right? And then she said something like, "I flew here on the power of my ancestors." And I was like, I don't know who this lady is, but I like her already. So it was just a dynamite lecture, just this notion of how she was taking these ordinary things that she does and infusing them with like magical ability, just for her own joy and delight, but I think also to bring a little sacrament to the ordinary. Because she's like, "I actually do get energy from drinking coffee, but I'm going to language it in this way." So the connection for me is what Ezekiel says that makes this impossible, miraculous, magical thing happen with these bones. They come back to life and there's sinew and flesh on them because of the magical words in his mouth. And I think that is just full of possibility for us as people who follow Jesus. So this is the second Sunday of Advent, and the theme is peace. The quote that I'm using from Harry Potter is from Professor Dumbledore, and he says,
"Words are, in my not so humble opinion, a most inexhaustible source of magic, capable of both inflicting injury and remedying it."
So my sermon title is The Magic in Our Mouths. And I'm not totally sure where I'm going, but I think it's going to be a fun, what is possible, imagine the impossible, speak the impossible, incantational, which is what Advent is all about. I mean, this God is coming to be flesh and to do something just extraordinary in the world. Just even the inbreaking of God is magical. Christmas is magical. The whole way that a community conspires, an innkeeper and angels and shepherds to make this thing happen in a stable. Yeah. It's all just like,
Oh, I love that. I love that. And the simple nature of language, that's we might overlook that. We think of this Ezekiel story as like, oh, the power of God. It's like, well, it's just a dude saying some words, and those words are what has the magic, And we turn. It's too often in Christian circles we say, oh, that's Wiccan or witchcraft. But then we have the same experience in the Christian story in the Hebrew scriptures, and it's like, how is this not any different? It's the same incantation. Yeah. It's the same power of language and vocabulary, mm-hmm. And to me that just says there is something. It's breath coming
Yeah.
out of my body with certain vibrations. That's all words are. And that is magic. That brings magic. What words are we bringing? What life are we bringing? Or, what not so life are we bringing with our
Right.
words?
Right.
Whew.
You probably know where in the text it says the power of life is in the tongue, right?
Ooh.
And it's in the Christian New Testament, but we have
Proverbs. No, it's
Proverbs.
back in Proverbs 18. I just Googled it really quick.
Right.
Proverbs 18:21.
There's also that text that talks about we have the power to speak life and death with the tongue, and we
Yeah.
know it's true. We watch our kids crumble, like if we fly off the handle and say, "What are you doing?" Right? And and sometimes we need to. They're like about to step into traffic, or they're about to stick a knife into an outlet, or me, like
Or into
open
their
the
sibling.
door, or into their sibling. Or me, we're coming off an exit, and I thought, I wonder if I can open the car door and close it. And my dad, man, my dad leaned over, shut the door, and smacked me on my leg, like all in like a split second. Anyway, but we've also seen the way people well up and come to tears when we sit and listen or remind them of who they are. And so there might be some, interactive thing in the space. I just remember that one Sunday when we had people turn and introduce themselves to people, and afterwards they were like, I've been sitting next to this person for 27 years. And we always say hello, but I didn't know their name. Simple thing of knowing someone's name. I'm pretty good with names, and I will tell you when I see someone again and I'm able to call their name at Riverside, it is stunning to me how much that means to them. They're like, "You remembered my name?" I'm like, what should we be doing but being able to remember
That's
each
kind
other's
of the
names?
most important job we have, is just to know the
Yes.
people and how they are
Right.
named. Yeah.
Right. But the response from people reminds you, I think, that maybe not many of us have the experience. And maybe especially if we live alone in New York City and we go to our bodega, they probably recognize us, but they don't know our name. They don't call
Yeah.
our name. And so to be in a space, especially like Riverside, where there's so many people, and to be remembered, just that incantation, that magicalness of being known and seen. So I might work some of that into the sermon, an
Yeah.
opportunity for people to speak some sort of spell over each other, or to
I
share the
love it.
magical thing they've done today.
I mean, it makes me think, how are we using our words? Are we turning dry bones into something living, or are we turning
Mm.
something living into dry bones? Our
Ooh,
words have the power to do them both.
to do them
And
both.
just like the etymology of language, like the word encourage means to give courage. The word
Yeah.
discourage means to take courage away. What are the words we choose to use doing? Are they taking someone's courage, or are they giving that courage?
Right.
I think this experiment still works. I did it ages ago, where like we had a coworker back in the church I used to work at. This is when I was a youth pastor. His name was
Mhm.
Johnny, and we just did it as an experiment in front of like 400 students. And we had Johnny come on stage, and everyone in the whole crowd was chanting, "Johnny is a bad boy. Johnny is a bad boy." And then he put his arms out. And Johnny was like a 22-year-old guy,
Okay.
so he could handle
Okay.
this.
Thank you.
It wasn't a kid.
Okay.
He put his
Okay.
arms out, and then we pushed his arms down, and they just dropped. He couldn't hold them up. And then we
Mm.
said, "Johnny is a good boy. Johnny is a good boy." And we did the same pressure, and he could hold them up. It was like in his body,
Oh
the
my
words did
gosh,
something to him.
Jim.
They took the
Oh,
courage, or they gave the courage, and that just, dry bones, bring
dry
life.
bones. I might have to ask you if I can borrow that. That would be so powerful.
Yes, of course.
And he really was trying to keep his arms up and couldn't.
Yeah, this was like a strong dude, stronger than me, and they just couldn't keep him up. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We have such a power. And it's also beautiful because God is giving the prophet the words to say. And I may go through do some research to see if there's some spells or some incantations. I mean, when God says, "You are my beloved in whom I am well pleased," that is like to me one of the most delicious sentences in the whole Bible.
Yeah.
And I know there are others, but what it might be like to turn to a neighbor and say, "You are God's beloved and God is well pleased." Just to see what that experience is like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in churches, I often say that we are safe places for people to come and be their full on selves, whether that self is hurt and lashing out. And hopefully people don't remain that way and continue to, like a fire hose that's flailing all about, just spraying. Hopefully we're able to walk each other to a better place and a healed place. But I do think church is an amazing space where people get to be their hurt selves because there's no other safe place to do it. Work would fire you and family would disown you. So church becomes a safe place, I think, also to start to practice what it looks like to get healed. But it's a tough place because there are so many people who are, so full of anger, so full of hurt, things that have happened to them. And they want to be seen and they want to be, I think, made well. So we're all trying to regulate and, again, help each other get to where
Yep.
the God has us. And I think the words that we speak have the power to help each other heal.
Yeah. We all find ourselves feeling a bit dry bonish now and
Oh,
then.
for
And
sure.
it's hard to always feel like, how do I give that breath of life to someone when I feel like I have no breath left?
Yeah,
And that's why we
yeah,
need a community like we have, where we can
right,
hold each other in those moments. And, what Henry Nouwen says, we're wounded healers. And that's the work we're called to do.
right, right. I also think, again, I'm just going back to Miguel de la Torre's theology of hopelessness, that some of us, I think, have never had breath, never, just
Mm.
don't even know what it looks like. And
Mm.
I think those are the folks who are in churches just like this all the time,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Um, they just can't imagine. And I don't know that we'll be able to walk everybody to this place because I just think it doesn't feel safe if you've never seen it. It's hard to even imagine it. But then a text like this, I think, and of course the one we had last week, there is an invitation to sort of take a leap and trust. And maybe in the conversations that we're able to have with each other this Sunday, it'll inch people a little bit closer to what's possible for them in hearing from their neighbors what has been spoken into their lives, and the magical word. Yeah, it is a
And this
kind of
is,
magic, right? We're not doing
oh,
it. God is really, whispering to us. I think the way God whispers to the prophet Ezekiel. It's not that Ezekiel is so amazing or that we're so amazing. But this God, this spirit says, go over there, or calls to mind the person's name or helps you to do, as Professor Yara said, something magical.
yeah. But
Yeah.
isn't that what language is? I mean, we
Yeah.
fixate on this phrase is the magic. No, that's just the finger pointing at the moon. That's just the container, the vessel holding the magic, because it's just a language. The same phrase in different languages should be just as magical. It's all just the best way we understand, or we're tapping into this energy and vibration that we can't articulate and hold. So the words are just our attempt at offering something that is always been present, has always been true, and that's what I would say is where we find the Spirit of God as that
Mm,
magic and that energy. And our language is just doing its best to
to
put
keep up.
itself around it and make it
Yeah.
accessible and make it so
Right.
we can have these dry bones get a little bit of breath.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. It's such a great text. It's such a
Yeah.
great text. And I think when we also bring in the Advent theme of peace this week, it also makes you wonder, like, what words we might speak into places where peace is struggling to emerge. That could be in our own bodies, our own relationships and families, but then, of course, larger in the geopolitical sphere, our city, where Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, racism, misogyny, and all those things are living. But then in the conflicts that we're reading about in the news in the Congo and in Sudan, in Gaza, in the West Bank, where people's homes are just being destroyed, and people are being put off their land and told they're now having to pay back monies for land. It's just the wildest, craziest things. But the level of not peace that is in the hearts of God's people who are doing such wretched things to one another in countries and households,
Yeah.
city halls, courtrooms, all over this world.
Well, it's where peace is not just the absence of conflict. It's not
Yes,
just the ceasefire. It's the
right,
presence of wholeness. It's that
right,
restoration. So our
right.
words bring that magic because
Yeah,
it's not just we stop the violent language, but we
right,
bring the language that brings wholeness and healing. It's that flesh and breath being put back on those dry bones so they can once again be alive. That's what our
right.
language can do. That's what we definitely need in so many corners of our lives and this world that we share.
Yeah, yeah. So there's lots of work to do, and Advent, Advent is such a great season. I really
Yeah.
appreciate these cycles that we're in that help us to slow down, sit in the dark, um, hear from God, and ask ourselves how we might recalibrate this year, how we might,
Yeah.
in this cycle, um, do a little better, do a little more, create a little more spaciousness and capacity in ourselves to try to accompany our siblings on this journey that we're all
Yeah.
on. Yeah,
So this is Advent 2, the second Sunday in
yeah,
Advent, which is December 7th. So we are,
yes,
coming up towards Christmas. It's a few
it's
weeks away.
galloping. Yeah,
Yep. Maybe a couple things about magic. Slight shift here in our conversation. Next Sunday, December 14th, there will be a lot of magic at Riverside with our Candlelight Carol Festival. So
yes,
you definitely want to get yourself tickets to join that on site, online. There's different ways you can experience. In the room is incredibly magical. So if you can do that, do that. But if you can't, if you live in, Northern California, for example, or Durham, North Carolina, or Austin, Texas, you can join us online. Just dim the lights in your home and have it up on your TV, and it is a
yeah,
magical experience in that way as well.
totally.
The sounds and the sights of the choirs and the scripture and all the things. So that's magic number one. Magic number two. Could you talk a bit about since December 7th is now this Sunday? So I think we've officially launched the giving machine. What is this thing
Yes.
that's happening? Can you talk about that magic just for a minute?
I can. Thank you so much. So we have partnered with our siblings in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They have a Light the World initiative where they bring vending machines to different locations. There are only 5 in all of New York City, and one of them is going to be at Riverside Church. So the giving machine just arrived. It will arrive at our church on December 2nd, and it'll be with us until January 4th. And it's a vending machine where you don't get something, you give something. So there are different cards in the machine. Some of the things you can purchase are to benefit our neighbors at Riverside Church. So you can buy things for folks who need things from the food pantry or from the clothing closet. You can buy a Metro card for someone who needs transportation to get around the city. So you're not actually buying the thing, but you're putting the money in. You get a card, you'll get a receipt for your tax purposes, and that money gets earmarked, and then we're able to get the Metro cards to the people or to get the food to the people, the neighbors who need food. Half of the items in the machine will benefit Riverside Ministries, and half will benefit global ministries that are connected with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's an awesome, awesome partnership. There will be opportunities when you come to also give to other things that are happening at Riverside. Our 95th anniversary tower pins are for sale. Our poinsettia pins are for sale. You want to be at Candlelight, there is a dinner after. You can buy a ticket. There will be jazz music, there will be wine, there will be an amazing, delicious dinner. So it's a really wonderful opportunity to give in a lot of different ways to a lot of different partners and to celebrate this season of light.
Oh, there's so much magic. That alone, the
Yeah,
ability for those who have the capacity and the ability to give generously. We don't live in a world of scarcity, but we have sufficiency and abundance,
we do.
and all of us have something we can give, whether it's a smile, a kind word, a donation like this. All of these things, drip by drip, make an impact in our
That's
lives,
right.
and we really need that
Magical
now in
words.
this season. Magical
That's
words,
right. That's
absolutely.
right.
Oh, I love
That's
it.
right.
I love it.
And there's a coat drive. I should throw that in there. A
Oh,
coat drive, and I think a toy drive. But there will be a landing page on the Riverside Church website. I think it's Gifts of Hope, and it will tell you all the different things you can connect with, and you give at the level that works for you. Maybe it's a coat, maybe it's a hat, a pair of gloves. there's a way for everyone to get in and to make a difference in the life of someone who needs support.
Yeah. People need things all year round, and we
All
are
year round.
definitely working all year round to help people
Definitely.
have the things they need and to work to shift and change the systems that perpetuate those ongoing needs. But
Yes.
this season is one where those needs can feel a bit more just tighter or suffocating, or there's so much. So this is definitely a season when, especially just in the contrast of getting feels like it's what the season turns into. No, how can it be giving? How can it be generosity? How can it be that magic of sharing what you have, your words, into the world to make it all a better place? I love it. I love it. That's Advent 2, Riverside, coming up. Lots of cool things. So we'll look forward to seeing you, everyone. Join us, Bible study, 9:30 this Sunday, online, on site, all the usual places. And then worship service, lots of good stuff, all of this and more. Virtual coffee hour afterwards. If you're online, we'll get to chat more. It's going to be a good time. And then join us next week for Candlelight. Give to this giving machine. Find all the ways you can participate and use your magic words to make the world filled with wonder and magic and flesh and breath on all the dry bones. We'll talk to you soon. I think next week Reverend Tim is preaching, so we'll talk with
That's
Tim
right.
next week and see what's happening there. Take care, everybody.